Good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle. Thank you, as always, for joining us tonight. The Secret Service is not confident it can protect Trump.
We are not capitalizing on a crisis. We are showing the math. We have finite resources.
Showing the math. Plus, a CNN reporter schooled by a Trump supporter.
You can afford a boat. You're not hurting so bad, right? Because a boat costs a lot of money and it's a lot of upkeep.
Listen, nobody gave me I earned everything that I've got.
That Trump voter joins us in moments. And who's really running the government?
I'd like to turn it over to Jill and for any comments she has. And it's all yours, kid.
Where's the visiting angel? But first, the ultimate insult. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Given the failures of Kamala Harris's economic and border record, her press team is left with recycled lines from 2016 and 2020.
Donald Trump is very good at insulting people.
Donald Trump sticks to the same old tired playbook of insults.
But the real insults come from Kamala herself, don't they? Because she insults our intelligence every time she sits down for even a friendly interview.
Hi, I'm Kamala Harris, and this is the Wired autocomplete interview. How to pronounce Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. What does Kamala Harris stand for? I am a daughter of parents who are active in the civil rights movement. Kamala Harris laughing. I love to laugh. Kamala Harris, Taylor Swift. I am very proud to have the support of Taylor Swift.
Was that for a kindergarten class? What was that? I thought it was a joke. My staff says it's real. It could not have been a softer interview and presentation. The only missing line or missing question was, do you like long walks on the beach? She could reveal that as well. And as for the one-on-one with liberal billionaire Oprah Winfrey, if there was such a thing as a verbal foot rub, this would be it.
It seems to us that something happened to you the moment President Biden, stepped aside and withdrew his candidacy, that a veil or something dropped and you just stepped into your power?
What was that? But then came the surprise questions, and they were really kind of tough. Like, how are you going to reduce the high cost of living?
Really would love to know what your plan is to help lower the cost of living.
Yours is a story I hear around the country as I travel. And in terms of both rightly having the right to have aspirations and dreams and ambitions for your family, and working hard and finding that the American dream is, for this generation and so many recently, far more elusive than it's been. And we need to deal with that. And there are a number of ways.
Far more elusive, the American, what? I love how she acts like some external force caused inflation, by the way, not her and Joe's idiotic spending bills. Now, that's insulting, and it's also arrogant to believe that Americans should vote for you even as you are unwilling or maybe unable to explain your policies. Her answers kind of remind me of that college kid who, when called on by the professor, hasn't done the class reading, so he or she just merely restates the question posed, as Kamala did on the question of how she's going to fix the border.
I have prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. My work and my career has always been about saying, let's fix problems. Let's address the needs, because we know it's within our capacity to do that.
Even Oprah seemed frustrated.
So to answer Justin's question, now that that bill has gone and hasn't passed, will you reintroduce that?
Absolutely.
At this point, Oprah's got to be thinking to herself, man, I just should have run for president myself. It would have been easier than live coaching this woman. Now, every exchange was an easy Kamala layup. And by the end of the interminable 68 minutes, Oprah had allowed Harris to kind of rebrand herself from an anti-Second Amendment fanatic to a modern-day Annie Oakley.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz
I
is a
did
gun.
not know that.
If
And I thought
somebody
that was
breaks in
powerful.
my house, they're getting shot.
Yes, yes. I hear that. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
But
My staff will deal with that later.
I'm sure they would have thought it was just perfect for Trump to laugh if he said someone would get shot if it came into his home. They would have, oh yeah, they would have said, oh, it's heartless, you have no compassion. What if you shoot the wrong person? This is just more insults to our intelligence. And of course, it was all calculated, but it was poorly carried out rebranding. Kamala's just like you. But then you think to yourself, I don't speak like the words of one of those lame motivational posters hanging in your company break room.
We believe in what is possible. We believe in what can be. And we believe in fighting for that. That's how we came into being. Freedom to just be. And that's who we are. We believe in all that.
The freedom to just be. I love how Oprah goes, Note her use of the phrase, how we came into being there. And again, the freedom to be. Freedom to be, unless you're one of the infants in the womb who's aborted in Kamala's dreamland. And speaking of that, today she uttered more insulting drivel about abortion in Atlanta. Her language was crafted specifically to mislead the public.
I made the decision early in my life that I wanted to do the work that was about protecting the most vulnerable among us and doing the work that was about giving them dignity in the process.
Most vulnerable among us? How about those who can't yet speak for themselves? How condescending, though. Condescending to women, who, by the way, are poorer than they were 4 years ago, are less safe than they were on the streets 4 years ago, and less confident in the future than they were 4 years ago. But Kamala's crack group of high-paid pollsters and consultants believe that women's first, second, and third most important concerns are abortion, more abortion. Now, that's just not an insult to single cat ladies, as they call them. It's an insult to women across the board, just as is her entire duck and cover campaign. That's an insult to every American who goes to work, who goes to school every day, and is judged on the results of their work. Now, we have to remember, Harris has always benefited in her career from special treatment, including in this campaign. Now, she didn't have to go to win the Iowa caucuses or tramp through the snows of New Hampshire to convince voters there. And she doesn't have to do press conferences with hostile reporters, as Trump does. She hasn't had to explain her policy toward China or Russia. Her role is simply to repeat platitudes and memorize phrases.
We love our country. I love our country. I know we all do. That's why everybody's here right now. We love our country. We take pride in the privilege of being American.
I thought she said we were systemically racist. How do you take pride in that kind of country? And hope that the hundreds of millions of dollars that she's raised from millionaires and billionaires are going to be enough to drown out Trump's message of peace and prosperity. That's what they're hoping for. And if she wins, the establishment's going to make use of this template for all future campaigns, where the voters are kept in the dark, receive no assurances about anything, and they just simply dine out on celebrity endorsements and personality plays. This is a complete rejection of the democratic process from the phony defenders of democracy. And it's one big insult to all of us. We're treated like subjects, not citizens. And that's the angle. Joining us now is Allison Wynn, former Obama fundraiser and Silicon Valley tech pioneer, and Evan Barker, a former Democrat campaign fundraiser. Evan, good to see you. You wrote an op-ed this week saying that you can't go back to the Democrats because of what you saw at the DNC. And so what's your reaction to this Oprah interview, which seems to dovetail into your concerns?
I mean, it just felt like Oprah was lecturing working class people who are struggling. She has no idea what it's like to not be able to afford groceries. She has no idea what it's like to go to the gas station and struggle to fill up her car. She's not affected by the economy right now. And so, you know, it just felt extremely out of touch, and it goes along with everything that I've been saying the last couple of weeks and what I wrote in my op-ed.
Allison, one of Kamala's great concerns that she reiterated during this interview is about the people not being able to really understand the information that's presented to them. Watch.
Very important that we all speak to our friends and our neighbors about misinformation and help them now see how it occurs, where it is occurring. We ask people to be alert about mis and disinformation.
I love Meryl Streep's an expert on disinformation. What about that? Sounds like censorship?
It's censorship big time. The Harris-Biden administration have admitted that they've been censoring free speech with Facebook, with Google. They are big time in cahoots. I've been saying this all along, and now we have information to come out and prove this. But, you know, back to the Oprah interview, it was all gibberish. I could not understand one word she was saying.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, people thought it was really funny. And it was funny because it was so bad. And then Oprah's nodding her head like it's some profound statement from one of the great political orators of our time. And I thought to myself, Evan, Oprah really did make it on her own. Right? She's really smart, really hardworking. She rose in a very difficult industry, was a total pioneer. And yet she's sitting down with Kamala Harris and treating her like, oh, yeah, she just, she made it on her own, and she's there. She won it on her own when she was handed this nomination. And it just, to me, that dichotomy was something that could not be ignored.
And did anyone catch how she basically...
of a personality.
Sorry, Evan first.
Did anyone catch... No, it's okay. Did anyone catch how Oprah basically made fun of people who work at McDonald's? Did anyone catch that part of her intro? She said that Kamala Harris had worked at McDonald's and told everybody else that currently works at McDonald's, all of the working class people, that there was hope for them yet. So I just found the entire programming to be incredibly patronizing. It was a cringe fest. It's just everything that is emblematic of the Democratic Party and how out of touch they are right now with just regular people that are struggling.
Well, I thought it was insulting. I mean, again, they say that Trump is insulting, can be insulting. This was insulting to our intelligence. No policies, no answers, a lot of personal anecdotes, a lot of meaningless blather, cliches, and platitudes. And yet the audience are treated like trained seals, like they're supposed to applaud to this, Allison. Meanwhile, they're out there touting their Dick Cheney endorsement, Allison.
Yes, so this book has been written before, 2 books, The Cult of a Personality and The Communist Manifesto. And so they want to just hide that Marxist policy behind really very slick aspirational talk, right? Just like what Obama did. So they're doing that playbook with Kamala, although she's not as slick as Obama.
No, for sure. I mean, she doesn't even approach Obama's talent. Allison and Evan, great to see you both. Thank you. All right, the cost of everything is up for everybody. But if you're working for the Harris campaign, either officially or unofficially, your job is to convince voters to suck it all up, because it's really not that bad. They reserve that for Trump supporters going about their day. And one CNN reporter was especially snarky in her little interrogation.
What's your most important issue?
The economy, getting the interest rates down, getting it to where we can afford to live in America.
But, you know, if you can afford a boat, you're not hurting so bad, right?
Listen, nobody gave me I earned everything that I've got. I'm retired military, retired power plant.
I think it's interesting that people who are a little bit more comfortable are still so concerned about the economy.
Joining me now, the man you just saw in that video, Joe Harner. Joe, first off, she seemed to kind of imply that you had a boat. Do you have a boat?
No, ma'am, I do not.
What did you take of her question to you? I mean, to me, and maybe I misread it, but to me, she was like, why are you really complaining? I mean, you're in the boat parade. You know, they hate the boat parades. They despise the boat parades because Trump flags, the American flag, patriotism, everyone's having a good time. So what do you think she was really trying to get at? She's treating you like a exhibit at the Smithsonian. Like, what an odd thing, this person who likes Donald Trump.
Well, I believe that she was just trying to get under people's skins there, just by the questions that she was asking the different people that I saw at the boat parade and everything. But what's curious is she rode on the same party boat that I rode on, that I paid $50 to come to the boat parade on.
Well, did they air the full exchange that you had with them?
No, they did not.
Well, what did we miss? I loved you. I loved that. Like, no one gave me this. I earned every bit I got. I'm going to get you a better microphone next time you do an interview with me. I don't know how you're mic'd up there, but we're going to, I don't know, you sound like you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean. But nevertheless, how has the Biden-Harris economy impacted you, Joe?
Well, it's impacted me because, you know, I'm retired on fixed income now, and everything costs more, so my money doesn't go as far. From gas, everything, you know, gas, food, repairs on the house, anything that we do costs, you know, more. Everybody has raised their prices to try and cover what the Biden-Harris administration has done.
So what do you say to older Americans out there? Because there's some reports that seniors may be trending in some parts of the country toward Kamala Harris. So what's your message for them tonight?
Well, I'm going to tell them that they need to look at their budgets and look at how they're spending their money, because their money doesn't go anywhere near what it did 4 years ago.
Well, Joe, we appreciate it, and thank you for speaking up very, very emphatically and emotionally to the CNN reporter. But just stop complaining about the economy, okay? Because after all, you want a boat or you're near a boat, so you shouldn't complain. All right, Joe, thank you. After 2 assassination attempts in 2 months, can the Secret Service actually protect Trump? A lot of you are worried about this tonight, and we're on it next. Rapper and music mogul Sean Diddy Combs is reportedly on suicide watch in a Brooklyn jail. Fox News correspondent Matt Finn has the latest on the case. Matt, what can you tell us?
Laura, tonight Combs is on that suicide watch in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. That is not the jail the rapper wants to be in. His attorney asked for a transfer to a prison in Essex County, New Jersey, but that did not happen. People magazine reports the Metropolitan Detention Center is known for being dangerous and understaffed with a high number of deaths and suicides. Several courts have recognized it as not fit for pre-trial detention, according to the Daily Beast. Combs is accused of organized what he calls freak-offs, destructive and despicable sex sessions in which he allegedly hired men and women, typically in hotel rooms, providing drugs, and he sometimes filmed it all. Court documents reading, victims believe they could not refuse Combs' demands without risking their financial or job security, or without repercussions in the form of physical or emotional abuse. Now, Diddy's attorneys say in part that those sex parties were consensual and he's innocent. Laura.
Matt, thank you. Joining me now, Brian Claypool, a criminal defense attorney. So, Brian, what Matt was just talking about, these so-called freak-offs, these were no secret. So he'd been openly bragging about these wild parties. You know, there's like sex parties, and it looks like, you know, there were probably lots of other things going on there, too. But he was bragging about this for, what, a couple of decades. Watch.
This is what you need to do. Women, beautiful women. We need alcohols.
Right.
Alcohols.
Right. Not just one alcohol.
Alcohols.
Right, just different
Plurals.
blend. You need the
Blends.
ladies, you need the booze. Right.
Got to
right.
keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but
yeah, yeah.
Brian, that was creepy, but what took the Fed so long to do something?
Hey, Laura, always great to be with you. Yeah, I think it's where I'm in L.A., it's the Hollywood celebrity path to justice, where we simply look at a clip like that and we laugh and giggle about, oh, let's get alcohol, let's get drugs, let's get all these ladies at a party. You know, for years, P. Diddy's gotten a hall pass. He's actually created his own kingdom where he makes his own rules, and you got to follow his rules or you get penalized. And guess what, Laura? He's now in a federal penitentiary, and for the first time in his life, he's facing his own fate at the hands of somebody else. And I will tell you, Laura, I've done federal cases, that's not the place you want to be in federal court. 90% of federal criminal indictments brought down are pled out, right? A plea deal is brought. And of the only 10% left, 90% of those defendants that go to trial, they lose. So he is looking at a daunting uphill battle to fight these horrible charges.
Now, Brian, one of the DHS agents involved in this raid on his Miami mansion described what he saw inside the house, saying that, in my opinion, he's as bad as Epstein. These women are young, either barely legal or barely illegal. Brian, this sounds like he was a monster.
Yeah, Laura, I will tell you that this indictment was very detailed, by the way, too. Your viewers should know there were over 300 subpoenas served, over 50 witnesses interviewed. Why is that important? Because the federal prosecutors aren't going to be leveling an indictment like this unless they have ammunition and they have cause to bring it. And the core issue at this case, which the feds have to prove, which it's looking like they can, is that P. Diddy essentially controlled these women, that he threatened them with stopping the money that he was paying them, that he spiked their drinks with drugs. That's been alleged in the indictment. And that he basically told them, I'm going to ruin your life unless you engage in these freak-offs. And that's really what the prosecutors got to prove. And if you've got some victims coming forward to talk about that, you've got financial records that prove that, travel itinerary that proves that, P. Diddy has very little defense. And I got to tell you, Laura, if this guy wants to fight these charges, he's going to have to step up and walk into a courtroom and talk about it. If he doesn't testify in this case, he is dead on arrival.
Well, who else is on these tapes? I mean, will the tapes ever see the light of day? I mean, that's what everybody's talking about. Who else is there? It's like with the Epstein, his pleasure island. Who else? Who went? Who was there? What's the manifest? But Brian, chances 1 being least likely, 10 being most likely. Will we learn of other celebrities that were at these freak-offs?
Yeah, I think you've got an 8 or a 9 for a likelihood you're going to hear about it. Why? Because there are going to be more indictments coming down, Laura. That's an important point here, because he's being charged with racketeering and conspiracy. You're going to have, well, let's start on the inner circle. You're going to have former bodyguards. You can possibly have former musicians that he was with. You've got personal assistants that are going to be, they're already talking about this. Some of those are likely to be charged. And then guess what? If you've got some music moguls that are sending women over to these alleged freak-offs, then you've got some top people that are going to start crumbling too, because they're all part of what's called this criminal enterprise.
All right, Brian, always great to see you. Thank you so much. Now, Team Trump showing just how dangerous the Democrats' rhetoric has gotten. The Angle's 2024 ad war next. The 2024 ad war, so much fun, is well underway. We've seen some really great ads, seen some stunners, some stinkers too. Each week of the campaign, we're going to dissect them, Republican and Democrat, and issue our own Ingraham Angle report card. Joining me now, Terry Schilling, president of the American Principles Project. Terry, let's start with this powerful ad from former President Trump highlighting some of the rhetoric of the Democrats. Watch.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be? Does one of us have to come out alive?
We were in high school, I'd take you behind the gym and beat the hell out of them.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be. You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Terry, how do you grade that?
Laura, I give that ad an A. I think it's very powerful. It uses the most well-known and recognizable Democrats, and it uses their own words against them to show just how vicious and evil they are. A.
Yeah, well, I think they're the ones saying Trump's dangerous, Trump's causing all this chaos, and they seem to be urging it. So again, using their own words, I think is very powerful. But Harris released an ad yesterday, Terry, touting her record on the, wait for it, the border. Check it out.
As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels. She backed the toughest border control bill in decades. Fixing the border is tough. So is Kamala Harris.
Terry, does that work?
F. No way. I give it an F. This is not a believable ad. Anyone that's concerned about the border is going to be asking themselves a very simple question when they see this ad. Why didn't she do this in the first 4 years? F.
Yeah, I don't think you can go back to your time as a prosecutor in California. Like, what happened? It's like in a resume, you know, when there's a gap in a resume, Terry, like, well, what happened in those years? All right, there's another Trump ad focusing on one of Kamala's more pronounced progressive policy proposals. Watch.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
Oh, that just came out. That just came out today, late today, Terry. What do you think about that one?
I give that an A+, Laura. This ad is so important to run. We saw in 2022 that the Democrats were able to counter every single attack on the economy and crime and inflation, but Democrats cannot counter this. They're too extreme and radical, and they're going to lose their base if they moderate. I give this ad an A+.
Wow. Okay. And then there's a race between Senator Ted Cruz, incumbent, and his Democrat challenger, Colin Allred. That's kind of tightening up. Here's the latest ad from the Allred campaign. Watch.
Football hurts. No pain, no gain. You gotta fight for it. What's Ted Cruz fought for? Himself. He wants to raise the retirement age for hardworking Texans. Now that hurts.
Terry, verdict.
I give that a C-. I don't see that actually changing any votes in Texas. It's mostly substanceless. I give it a C-, Laura.
Yeah, I mean, fought for himself. And the football stuff gets old after a while. I'm sorry, everyone likes to use their sporting days as an analogy, but I find that to be itself kind of tired. Plus, Ted Cruz is a great senator. Terry, thank you so much. All right, Kamala's latest word of the day, and why are Biden and Harris's significant others taking the lead? Raymond Arroyo, next, Friday Follies. It's Friday, and that means it's time for Raymond Arroyo's birthday on Friday Follies. Happy birthday, Raymond.
I don't want to talk about that, Ingrid.
I'm so upset we're not
talking
together.
about that.
Well,
Rebecca, I didn't leave you. You left us.
Surprises for you. Well, she has some surprises
you.
for you, but I was going to surprise you by doing to you what you did to me a few years back.
Final cake. And oh my God, I'm
Raymond.
so sorry, Laura. Oh my God.
Oh, it's a fake cake. You are the worst. You are the worst. Oh my God.
You almost killed me with that styrofoam platter, Ingram. I remember that. I still have the scars here, but I won't show that.
Yeah, well, we covered a bit of the Oprah Kamala show earlier, and her A-list cheer squad, Raymond, surrounded her, including Meryl Streep, your fave.
Yeah, but Laura, she couldn't even properly address Streep. This is an Academy Award winner, been a public fixture for decades. Harris starts talking to Meryl Streep, and I think she needed a cue card. Listen.
Thank you, Marilyn, for your just the gift that you give. Your talent.
Who is Marilyn?
Now, what's
Thank you,
this
Marilyn.
with the hands?
She doesn't know Streep's name. But, I guess with Kamala Harris, Laura, every hour is happy hour and ladies drink free.
I think the word of the day has been preventable. Preventable.
Actually, Laura, I disagree with Marilyn. I mean, Meryl. The Kamala word of the day is clearly story.
It is your story and the story of our friends before you is really, that's the American story, right? In telling your story and being so strong in the way you do it, and both of these stories, for you to tell these stories, this story is a story that is sadly not the only story.
It's unbelievable. It's simply unbelievable. It's like a child who learns one word and then they struggle for the next thought and it never comes. But maybe this daytime talk candidacy will work. It's all emotion, but not a very good one. Certainly not an articulate one, Laura.
And then what about the Washington Post as well?
Well, well, they described this event as, with abortion in focus, Harris's event with Oprah prompts cheers and tears. The tears are from the general public trying to figure out what the hell is she saying. That's what I think that is.
Yeah, I mean, cheers and tears. Yeah, tears like, oh my gosh, yeah. Kim Jong-un and Xi and Putin are watching this going, this can't be real. Give us Oprah. All right, Raymond, there was a sighting today. In Maryland Streep. Joe Biden is back. He held his first cabinet meeting in 11 months.
Yeah, there's only one problem. He wasn't sitting at the head of the table. Guess who was?
So we're grateful that Jill is here today. Heard that clapping. It wasn't for me when we came in. I'd like to turn it over to Jill and for any comments she has. And it's all yours, kid.
It's all yours,
is she running
kid.
the cabinet
It's been
now?
hers all along. Jill Biden led the cabinet meeting.
What?
But I guess, look, when you're not shepherding Joe around or, you know, making sure he's not stumbling, I guess she's got a lot of free time. She even had a Rose Garden event without Joe. So I guess she's now the president in peccatore, in the heart.
And waiting.
This is amazing.
I like her
Yeah,
suit.
but look,
I like that color. That's a pretty suit.
I guess the VP is just following Biden's lead. She also is relying on her spouse to do the heavy lifting. While Harris refuses to do one-on-one interviews with the media, her husband, Doug Emhoff, was subjected on ABC rather, to all the tough questions. He's talking about the economy and the infrastructure and filling in the gaps. She needs to be there. Joyous herself should be sitting for these interviews, not the hubby.
Wait a second, Raymond. Is that what women in the modern era are doing now? They're going back to relying on their husbands for everything? I thought they were their own people. I thought that was like, we are women, hear me roar. Now they're just, we are women, hear us bore, everybody, I guess. I don't know.
Only in the Biden household, the women are leading the way. Finally, there are 40 million Christians who do not vote in the U.S., Laura, and there's a new film trying to change that. God is Not Dead, In God We Trust. It's in theaters this weekend. It was in the top 10 last week, and there's a familiar moderator during the big debate in the movie. David White, Scott Baio, Dean Cain, and somebody you might know is in it. God's Not Dead.
The birthday boy is in it.
All the showtimes are there.
What are you doing for your birthday? Are you doing something fun?
I am quietly going out for dinner, and I'm not going to tell you where, because I don't want anybody dropping a cake in my lap.
Well, Raymond, happy birthday. Raymond never ages.
Thank
he
you.
always looks the same because he doesn't go into the sun. Like when we go into the sun, if it's cloudy a little bit, Raymond's like, it's too sunny. Let's go inside. But that's why you look so good.
Get something.
All right, Raymond, happy birthday. Everybody have a great weekend. Thank you for watching all week long. We'll see you back here Monday night, and Jesse's next.